Today's lesson is Anya Taylor-Joy finding home on the big screen. Hello, everyone. I'm Mike.
Hi, everybody. I'm Roger, and we're going to continue talking about Anya Taylor-Joy. She's finding home on the big screen, which means she's a famous actress in the movies. And last time we introduced you to her a little bit in our last program. We mentioned the fact that she's taken Hollywood by storm because she's got those great eyes. She's very talented, and she's also starred in quite a few movies. And she was born in Miami, and her parents were kind of mixed, Scottish, Argentinian, English, Spanish, and she spent a lot of time in Argentina and the UK speaking Spanish and English as well. Eventually, she was walking her dog in London, just minding her own business, and a modeling scout saw her and said, "Hey, I'm going to give you a great opportunity," and the rest is history.
That's right. That led to some acting roles, which led to some awards, which led to some more acting roles. She ended up winning a Golden Globe for The Queen's Gambit, which was a smash hit on Netflix about 4 years ago, and that led her to even more wonderful Hollywood movie roles, including The Menu, a movie that I mentioned watching not too long ago, and her latest role, of course, in the latest version of the Mad Max story called Furiosa, which just came out this year. We're going to learn all about that and more in our article, so let's get into it.
In playing the orphaned Beth, who struggles with substance addiction while becoming a star chess player, Taylor-Joy found herself strongly identifying with the character. We have a lot of the same struggles, and at our core, we're pretty similar.
大家好，第一部分介绍名词 core， 它的意思是核心、关键或是精髓，也可以是果核的意思。例如，The core principles of democracy include freedom and equality for all citizens. 民主的核心原则包含所有公民的自由与平等。或者 The program's core aim is to improve the test results of the students. 该计划的核心目标是提高学生的考试成绩。
Okay, it's time for us to discuss the first paragraph in today's lesson. It says, in playing the orphaned Beth, who struggles with substance addiction while becoming a star chess player, Taylor-Joy found herself strongly identifying with the character. So in playing the orphaned Beth, when she was playing or when she was acting the role of this Beth who's orphaned, she struggles with substance addiction while becoming a star chess player. So when she was playing this role, it seemed very familiar to her because she says here, or it says here, that she found herself strongly identifying with the character. She knew the character. She was familiar with the character, maybe because she had a similar background. And this particular character was orphaned, which means this particular person, this kid, lost his or her parents. In this case, is a girl, so she lost her parents. And she struggles with substance addiction, which means she's probably using drugs like marijuana, cocaine, etc.
Yeah, in the movie, I think she drinks a lot. And she says we have a lot of the same struggles, and at our core, we're pretty similar. No, I am not a female chess expert from the 1950s. I'm Anya Taylor-Joy, Hollywood actress. But at our core, in our inner selves, right, when we really get down to it, the core is the center of something. If you're eating an apple, you will find the seeds right there at the core. Normally, we throw away the core of the apple. You don't eat that part. Or the core of the earth is the inner part of the earth, that sort of hot ball of molten iron or whatever it is that's right in the center of something. So when we talk about a person's core, we're kind of talking about their emotional center. So when you really get down to the kind of people we are, even if we're very different in many ways, but right at the basic level, we're pretty similar, is what she says. And that is probably what helped her identify with the character in the story and produce such a wonderful performance. And it's also something actors have to be quite good at, being quite empathetic, trying to find the humanity in anyone that they play. And part of her life experiences would have helped to develop that in Anya Taylor-Joy, some of the difficult experiences that she's had. And we'll find out about some of those in the next paragraph.
Taylor-Joy has previously spoken about how she often felt out of place in her youth. I didn't really feel like I fit in. The kids just didn't understand me in any shape or form. I used to get locked in lockers, she once said in an interview. These experiences pushed her to find a place where she truly belonged.
Okay, it's time for us to talk about the second paragraph. It says, Taylor Joy has previously spoken about how she often felt out of place in her youth. Okay, if you feel out of place, you don't really feel like you belong, okay? And there are various reasons for that. I'm sure a lot of our students can relate to this. Some people feel they're part of the mainstream, that they belong, that they have a lot of friends and things like that. They don't feel weird or out of place. But here she felt out of place, and that could be understandable because she has such a mixed background. She probably grew up speaking different languages and her parents came from different countries. So in that way, she probably didn't feel like she belonged when everybody else was the same and she was the different one.
Exactly right. Traveling around a lot, having parents from different parts of the world, growing up speaking different languages, and then if she was thrown into your standard mainstream American high school, she might feel like she didn't have as much in common with some of the other kids. And of course, kids also can be very cruel and can find it enjoyable to bully the strange kid, the unusual kid in the class. And that, of course, doesn't help. This is her speaking. I didn't really feel like I fit in. All right. If you don't fit in, you don't have a place. You're different from everyone. You don't have your gang, your group of friends, your tribe, however you want to describe it. You feel like a loner, like a solo act, like you don't really have any friends, and you don't sort of emotionally connect with anyone in a very good, real way. So she didn't fit in. The kids just didn't understand me in any shape or form. She'd grown up in different places, maybe spoke English or whatever with a funny accent or something like that. So in any shape or form, basically in any way, right? I didn't have common interests in terms of sports, hobbies, music, background. There's nothing I could sort of share with other kids. There was no way that we could find similarities to build a relationship on, to start to be friends through. A lot of kids, they'll just go, hey, you like this and I like that, we're friends, right? It's very simple as kids. But if you don't have those things, those shared interests, it can be difficult and the bullying can start, and that, of course, makes it even worse. And I think she was bullied. She says, I used to get locked in lockers. That's a classic bully tactic, but of course a very cruel thing to do. A locker is one of those very small kind of closets or cupboards that students might have at school. It's basically a little locked space, and it's kind of your area that you can put your books in or your coat or your sports gear or whatever, and then of course you lock it up. If you've been at school, you might have had a locker. If you go to a gym, you have a locker where you put your street clothes while you exercise and your workout clothes, and you take a shower, and all your things are safely stored there in your locker. Or maybe if you're traveling and you're at a bus station or an airport and you don't want to carry your big suitcase around, you can leave it in a locker, a nice safe place to leave your valuables for a temporary period of time. So she was pushed in there, locked in there, and the other students would laugh and joke and push her around and basically bully her and treat her badly. She told this story once in an interview, a classic story of being bullied at school. These experiences pushed her to find a place where she truly belonged. So she did want to find people to connect with, and she also found that she couldn't get it in the normal places like at school where other students were able to do that.
Exactly. So she wanted to find a place where she belonged. She wanted to fit in, and hopefully she found such a place, and maybe she has found such a place in Hollywood with all sorts of other actor friends and or whatever. She probably feels right at home with all those people. And that brings us to the end of the second part of our lesson for today. Let's move on now to the third part. We'll listen to it first.
That place turned out to be acting, which Taylor Joy has embraced with a relentless work ethic. In fact, she even learned to drive while shooting her latest film, Furiosa 2024, in which she stars as another orphaned youth fighting to find a true home in the world. It seems then that a search for belonging is a recurring theme in Taylor Joy's work. Through her flourishing career, she reminds us that home doesn't have to be a place. It can also be doing what you love with all your heart, wherever that may take you.
第三部分看到动词 embrace 表示欣然接受、乐意采纳或是拥抱。例如 To overcome challenges, people must learn to embrace change. 要克服挑战，人们必须学习接纳改变。或是 Many employees embraced the new changes in office policy. 许多员工欣然接受公司政策方面的新改变。接着看到形容词 relentless， 它的意思是持续不懈的、坚韧的。例如 The police dog was relentless in pursuing criminals. 那只警犬持续不懈地追寻罪犯。也可以说 Our group of scientists is relentless in their pursuit of new cosmetic inventions. 我们的科学团队坚持不懈地追求化妆品的新发明。再来介绍名词 ethic， 表示道德、伦理标准。我们可以说 We are looking for people who have a good attitude and strong work ethic. 我们正在寻找具有良好态度和强烈职业道德的人。又或者说 This company will strive for an ethic of consistency and accountability. 这间公司致力达到的准则是稳定一致、负责可靠。继续看到名词 belonging， 它的意思是归属感或是所有物。例如 Finding a sense of belonging in a new city can be challenging. 在新城市寻找归属感可能会很困难。又或者说 Our most valuable belongings are locked in a safe in the bedroom. 我们最贵重的物品被锁在卧室的保险箱里。再往后面我们看到形容词 recurring， 指的是反复出现的。举例来说 Due to recurring issues with the machine, the company had to replace it. 由于机器反复出现问题，公司不得不更换它。又或者说 Gary has recurring dreams about a haunted house. Gary 一直反复梦到一栋鬼屋。最后看到名词 theme， 它表示主题或是中心思想。我们可以说 The novel deals with themes of family and tradition. 这本小说探讨家庭与传统的主题。也可以说The students chose themes they were interested in and wrote short stories. 学生选择他们感兴趣的主题，并撰写短篇小说。
Okay, so again, she was kind of bullied in school. It said that she got locked in lockers, which I guess I could see it's possible. When I was in junior high school, we had big lockers that a person could fit inside. But when I was in high school, it was kind of divided into two parts. There was like a very narrow part at the bottom, and then there was a part on the top that opened up if you pushed a lever. So there was no way to stuff a person inside that locker. So I guess she had one of those big lockers like I had in junior high school.
True. But she's also quite small and thin.
That would do the trick, yeah. Lots of small and thin people could fit inside of lockers. And so she had to find a place where she belonged. Well, that place turned out to be acting, which Taylor-Joy has embraced with a relentless work ethic. So that place, it's not really a location, but it's actually an occupation or a situation. It turned out to be acting, okay? So maybe she didn't know where she could belong, but she finally found the place where she could belong and not feel like a misfit or an outsider. It was acting, and she embraced it with a relentless work ethic. So if you embrace something, you really accept it. Normally, to embrace something is to give it a big hug. You might embrace your parents after you've returned from your year of school overseas someplace and you're happy to see them. You'll give them a big hug. You'll embrace them. But here it just means she accepted it and she used it as best she could, and she had this relentless work ethic. Relentless just means it doesn't stop. She just keeps going at it. It's relentless, like sometimes a storm can be relentless. When is the storm going to end? It's relentless. It doesn't seem like it's ever going to end. And she's got this work ethic, which is kind of a moral, an idea about how to do things the right way. She believes that working hard and acting is the right way to behave.
There you go. Very high standards for herself, and she'll be at the set ready to make the movie before everyone, and she'll stay late, work with the director, really try to get the best performance possible. She's not sort of like, all right, 5 o'clock, I'm out of here, see you tomorrow. No, she'll put in all the hours and more for what is required for the movie. Here's a good example of that. It says, in fact, she even learned to drive while shooting her latest film, Furiosa, 2024, in which she stars as another orphaned youth fighting to find a true home in the world. Yeah, that's her new movie. It's another one in the Mad Max action movie franchise that started off with, of course, Mel Gibson, and then Tom Hardy took over the role. people. And in that last movie, the one with Tom Hardy, it was Charlize Theron who was playing the female character Furiosa, and they've decided to tell her story, and that's why Anya Taylor is playing sort of the young Furiosa. If you've seen those Mad Max movies, they are action spectacular, lots and lots of cars, lots and lots of customized cars, and huge numbers of car crashes. So knowing how to drive a car if you're in a Mad Max movie, that kind of sounds like a logical thing to do. She'd probably driven a car in a movie before, but maybe just in a scene where she's pulling up to the curb and getting out of the car. In this, she would actually do some pretty exciting and possibly dangerous stunt driving. So definitely a good idea and a big challenge. Also showing how seriously she takes her job. It seems then that a search for belonging is a recurring theme in Taylor-Joy's work. So a search for belonging, a search for that group, that tribe, that gang of friends that sort of accept you as who you are, that you have lots of in common with, friends that kind of become your family. When you're looking for a sense of belonging, you're looking for a place that you fit in, where you're loved and appreciated, where you're surrounded by people that you like as well, people who bring good things into your life and lift you up in some kind of way. That's what we're all kind of looking for. The sense of belonging, a sense of having, our place in the world and people around us who care about us. And so this is a recurring theme in her work. As a child, she never had this sense of belonging, so it would make sense that she's attracted to characters who are also on that search. And it's something that comes up again and again in her work. She's searching for a life as a woman in the chess world. She's searching for a story that tells where she comes from in Furiosa. This is something that happens again and again. If you have a recurring dream, maybe you have the same dream and it happens again and again. Maybe not in exactly the same way, but basically in the same form and the same idea. It comes back again and again and again. And a theme is kind of like an idea from a story, right? If I'm telling you a story, it could be a story of triumph. It could be a story of loss. It could be a story of challenge. It could be a story of failure. That's the theme of the story, right? So the story is told in different ways with a different plot and a different character and all sorts of differences, but the overarching theme or idea, the overarching message or moral or lesson I'm trying to tell you, that would be the theme of the film or the story or whatever.
Yep, the theme of belonging, of feeling like you belong to a certain place and you're not an outsider, that is a theme that happens over and over again in her work or in her movies, and I guess she can relate to that to the core because she felt that way when she was younger. And moving on now to the next sentence here, it says, through her flourishing career, she reminds us that home doesn't have to be a place. It can also be doing what you love with all your heart, wherever that may take you. So she's got this flourishing career. If you flourish or if something flourishes, that means it grows in a positive way and you're actually benefiting from what you're growing from. So she's got this flourishing career. It has just begun and it's getting bigger and bigger all the time. And well, with that flourishing career, it serves as a reminder to us that home doesn't have to be a physical place. It can be what you're doing in your life, your job, I guess. So yeah, where's your home? Is it in Saskatoon, Saskatchewan or someplace like that? No, actually my home is in my career with all my co-workers.
There you go. Her home is on the set, wherever the set is. If she's making good stories and working with talented people and learning about herself, pushing herself, she is in her happy place. That is her home. And she seems to be doing pretty well because yes, her films are always interesting, always worth paying attention to and keeping track of. And I'm sure we'll be seeing a lot more of Anya Taylor-Joy in the future if she chooses to continue to make wonderful films.
Okay, that brings us to the end of our explanation for today. Here is Hanny, our Chinese teacher.
各位同学大家好，我是 Hanny。 我们来看今天的文法重点。课文第二部分第一句写到 Anya Taylor-Joy 以前曾经谈到她在年轻时常感到格格不入，文中是用 felt out of place 去表达感到格格不入。那我们来看一下 out of place 它可以指脱离原位，放错位置，也可以用来表达某人事物跟周遭不相称，格格不入。我们看两个例句。 Some of the books are out of place 有些书放错地方了， 或者是 Nick felt out of place among the rich kids. Nick 在那群富家子弟中感到格格不入。好，那补充一下相反的用法。In place 字面上是指说放在适当的位置，可以引申表达到位、准备就绪，可以随时行动或者是运用的意思。像是 All the performers are in place and ready to go on stage. 所有的表演者都已经就位，准备好要上台了。好，那课文第3部分有一句提到寻找归属感似乎是 Anya Taylor-Joy 作品中反复出现的主题。文中是用 a recurring theme 去表达反复出现的主题。那么 recurring 这个字是形容反复出现的，它是来自动词 recur。我们来学它的字首字根。那么看到 COUR 或者是 CUR 这一类字根，就表示跑啊、流动或者是运转。其他的拼音法可能还会看到 COURS 或者是 CURR 或者是 CURS 等等。好，那我们看到这个在 recur 这个字当中 RE 表示 back 或者是 again， 它就有返回再度的意思。CUR 表示 run 就是跑，那我们可以用一再的跑回来去联想说 recur 它有再次发生、反复出现的那种意思。好，那顺便补充几个这类字根的单字。第一个补充的是 occur， 它的字首 OC 是来自 OB， 只是因为 OB 在 C 之前它拼成了 OC。 那这个字首呢，它表示朝向。那么字根 CUR 这表示跑，当有事情发生的时候，就好像是事情自己跑来找我们一样，跑向我们。好，那用这样的画面，用这样的方式去联想说 occur 它就有发生出现的意思咯。好，那第二个补充的是 concur CONCUR， 它的字首 CON 表示一起，字根 CUR 表示运转或是跑。那一起跑来应该可以联想到 concur 它有同时发生的意思。那其实它还可以指说像同意啊、赞成、意见一致，这是比较正式的用字。那第三个补充的是 excursion， 它的字首 EX 表示向外，字根 CUR 表示跑， SION 是名词字尾，往外跑应该很容易联想到 excursion 它有远足啊、短途旅行的意思。好，那以上今天重点整理，我们回顾今天单字吧。
Orphan. The child was orphaned when her parents were killed in a traffic accident. Core. A failure to communicate clearly is at the core of the issue. Embrace. Henry has learned to embrace his cultural background with pride. Ethic. Claire has a strong work ethic and always completes her tasks on time. Belonging. Mario still doesn't feel a sense of belonging at his new school. Theme. The power of love is one of the major themes of the novel.
Discussion starter starts now.
Here's our discussion starter. Do you think that feeling out of place in her youth might have helped Anya Taylor-Joy find success in acting?
Yes, I think it's possible that those experiences could have helped her in her career, since many actors and actresses that I've heard interviews with had sort of those rootless childhoods, those periods in their early life, especially when they didn't have that sense of belonging, when their families were moving around a lot. These kids had to find ways to make friends, and often they became quite good at sort of, we might even call them chameleons, the way a chameleon, that type of lizard, can change its color. These kids can sort of change their personalities a little bit to fit in with the new crowd of kids and students that they find themselves with.
Well, I don't believe that those feelings of not belonging were helpful to her career, because basically everybody feels that way from time to time. It just sounds good in interviews to say you had a rough childhood or whatever. I think the real reason she became famous is because she was at the right place at the right time when that modeling agent spotted her walking her dog in London.
Well, that brings us to the end of another edition of our program, and please make sure you join us again next time. From all of us here, I am Mike.
I am Roger. See you next time.